And we are back for another casual conversation with the Classic. And today I got a very special guest with me, someone that has been a champion in almost every company he's been in. You might know him as Isiah Swerve Scott, Shane Strickland, but now just Swerve. How are you doing today?
I'm excellent, man. Lovely day out where I'm at. Yeah.
Thank you very much for doing this. It means a lot to me. You know, you're on the show. It's something we've talked about in the past. You know, you want to wait a bit, but now we're here, which is great. And you got a ton of things going on. So we're going to try and touch base on all of that. But because I am the Wrestling Classic and the page is mainly based off of classic wrestling and whatnot, I like to usually start with this question. And I also found it really interesting. You spent the first 7 years of your life in Germany. So when I ask this question, it might be a little bit different. But what were your earliest memories of wrestling?
Honestly, my earliest memories of it had been like maybe catching a glimpse of WCW. That's when like I caught a glimpse of Rey Mysterio, and my cousins were watching it, and I thought it was dope. And like they was like calling everything that he saw because like he's been such a fan of it, and that's like I'm like, dang, I want to get that. I want to get that like integrated into being a fan of wrestling, so I can just like I know the movesets, I know the people. But I got away from it for a little bit, and then like around 12 years old, I got caught back up in SmackDown. And Rey Mysterio was making his debut that night against Chavo Guerrero.
Yeah, I remember.
And so I was like, so my last memory of him was in WCW as Rey Mysterio. Then it was like, oh, he's coming back in SmackDown. So ever since then, I watched that, and I was like tuned right back in, and I started watching every day, every week since.
Was wrestling on in Germany when you were there though as a kid? Was it just WCW that you were able to catch?
That was like that was around like. I came back to the States after. That's when I started catching it. Yeah, so like I didn't start watching like I might have been like 10 years old.
Okay.
When I caught that. So and that was in the States. I was in York, Pennsylvania at the time. Yeah. And then like 12, so like maybe 2-3 years later, that's when I caught back into it.
Have you ever got to tell Rey Mysterio that story of how he was like an inspiration for you in that way? So
I have yeah. Like I told him he's like my favorite wrestler of all time. Yeah. I told him that, and I also told Edge that he's like an inspiration for me now. Yeah. Like when I actually got into wrestling and really understanding the art of it, like Edge was my go-to guy for tape studies. Like I just because we had the long, lankier frames.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we were the longer guys. You know, so taller guys. So I was like, I've always felt like our movesets matched in a way. So he was one that I studied for a long time. I was able to, in my time in WWE, tell both those guys that. I told Rey Mysterio that back when we were in Lucha Underground. Yeah. So that was like cool. And like, and then we ended up wrestling each other. Oh man, what was the name of the promotion? I was like, I forget the name of the promotion. It was in like Tennessee. I remember that. But yeah, so we ended up doing a 6-man tag together, and I ended up wrestling with Rey Mysterio.
That's crazy how that works out, eh?
Yeah. It was incredible, man.
Yeah, no, for sure. So when did you decide that this is what you wanted to do and you wanted to pursue wrestling? Because like you obviously were doing some things. Like I read some stuff. Obviously, I don't trust Wikipedia that much, but I did check it out and it said
you shouldn't.
I don't trust it like at all, to be honest. But I was like, you know what? We'll just check it out really quick. And it said that obviously your father was in like the military and you were in that initially, and then you decided you want to pursue wrestling. Like, what made you make that decision?
Yeah, Wikipedia says I have 3 kids when I don't. I don't know where that came from. So when I went to the military, I went into the I went to Army Reserves around like 2007. Like literally 2-3 weeks after high school, I graduated high school. I went right to Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and I did 9 weeks there. Then literally took a bus down to Fort Gordon, Georgia, Augusta, Georgia. Did like 22 weeks of training down there. So I didn't get back home till like February of 2008.
Yeah.
And so I worked a job. I worked at like a UPS at the time, and I just hated every second of it. Like just didn't like it at all. Yeah. Especially waking up at 4 a.m. and getting home at like 7, 8 or whatever after, or going in at 3. And so I decided me and my friends used to backyard wrestle, and I was staying in like I rented a room at his place. And so I just was like, you know what, I'm getting out of here. I want to actually pursue something, do something with my time. So I ended up moving down to Virginia when my mom was moving at the time. So she had a place down there. So I moved all my stuff. We drove down, and like I lived on her couch, and I only took like a couple bins of stuff that I had and a TV, and that's all I took down there. And I researched a place, Ground Zero Wrestling in Richmond, Virginia. It had been like 25 minutes from my mom's house. So that Tuesday, she drove me over there. I signed up at like 18. I started training to wrestle.
That's crazy. And since then, we've seen you all over the place, whether it was obviously for me, I've talked about it before. Like I used to drive the 2 hours down, come to Seattle, watch you at Defy Wrestling. You know,
Thank you for the support.
You're always super nice and pleasant when I came to your table and just, you know, tried to chop it up with you for a bit. Like you were always receptive and just friendly. Like you never were like, you made time for everybody. And I saw that. And obviously I was there for that last match with Darby too, before you took off. And then also like you've been in Lucha Underground, LLW and all these other companies. When you started hitting the indie scene, like when did you start realizing that this was a real thing for you? Like this was happening?
It wasn't until like, so I got trained in 2008 to 2009.
Yeah.
I had my first match in March of 2009, and it was in Ground Zero in Virginia, and I just stayed there. I just only wrestled for that promotion, but they were running pretty frequently. They picked up more dates. They were doing like 2 shows a week, 2 to 3 shows a month. So I was getting reps and I was training every week. You know, it was a difficult time too, because my daughter was born in Pennsylvania. So I had to, and had military drill to do once a month because I was still a reservist. So I had to take these 4-hour drives every so often to see my daughter, do drills, come back, go to school, and then work a job to support my daughter. And like school, I just couldn't pay attention. I did like a year of school and I just couldn't pay attention. And I always wanted to get back into the ring to focus on that. So I just dropped school. I was going to ITT Tech for drafting design. So I just dropped that and just focused on like making money in wrestling and then my military, and then trying to see my daughter as often as I could. So so I did a year and a half of that, and then I moved back up to Pennsylvania, and I went to a place called, I only had one contact, and it was Phil Stamper, who helps out at Pro Wrestling Revolver. He had a contact with Greg Excellent in this place called Groundbreaking Wrestling. This is in Hanover, Pennsylvania, and that's where. So I went to a show, and that's where like I met a lot of these guys, like Joe Gacy was one of the first people I met there, like Alex Colon, who's like killing it in GCW, just did Hammerstein Ballroom recently. So that's where I met up and got introduced to those guys. And so he invited me to the show. I sat in the crowd, and he didn't want me to pay a ticket, just wanted me to enjoy and meet people. I went to the back. I met Adam Cole that night, and he wrestled Joe Gacy. And I also met Sami Callihan, but I didn't know who Sami Callihan was at the time. So I met them, and I think a couple weeks later, I messaged Adam Cole on Facebook. I actually had a match with Alex Colon. That was my first match up north. Then, so that was my first match up north with Alex Colon in 2011. And early 2011, I had that match. I wanted to send it to Adam Cole because I looked him up. He was doing CZW and he was killing it. Like CZW Junior Heavyweight Champion, and his manager was Mia Yim. So congratulations, Mia Yim, on the marriage to Keith Lee.
Congratulations to them for sure.
So I messaged him, sent him my match. I was like, "Hey man, can you check this out?" Like he's like, he didn't get back to me for like 3 months, and I was like, "Oh man, he blew me off." So 3 months he gets back, and he gets back from the UK. And he saw the message, and he was like, "Hey, man, I didn't have Wi-Fi. Sorry, man. I looked up all this stuff. I watched your match. Here's what I think." And it was just pages and pages and pages of notes, things that he liked, things that he didn't like, things I should keep, things that I should take away, how to get better. He's like, "I think you have a lot of potential, man. You should come up to CZW in Philly." So I packed up all my stuff, moved up to closer to Philly, took my sister's car in and out of the city. And that's when I met DJ Hyde and stuff. And that's when I decided, okay, this is where I need to turn up my game. Because I was training with Drew Gulak. I was like working with Callahan every week, you know, Gacy. These guys were like so much better than me. Then I went to like the Evolve CZW joint shows and seeing like all the talent. That's where I met Ricochet, the AR Foxes, the Apollo Cruises, you know, rest in peace, Brody Lee. I met him for the first time there. This is like 2011. And
that's wild.
And then Pac. I met Pac for the first time there. And I just what I loved about that time, DJ just didn't want me to pay a dime. He just wanted me to be around great talent. And my best friend to this day, Rich Swan, met him. And that's where like just being around this talent, being around these guys that are out moving, traveling the world, being the best in the world, like really like changing the game at the time, that's when I decided I was like, okay, this is what I want to be. And to do it at that high level, you have to be around talent that's doing it at a high level. And DJs, he gave me this one advice that I still hold to this day. And I actually pass this on to people that I do seminars with. I was like, you have to work with people that are better than you. That's when you really have to test yourself. Get around people that are better than you and work with people that are better than you. And then that's when everything changed in my whole mindset.
That's crazy. I appreciate you sharing that story. And isn't that like a very common thing where like you try to contact someone and you think, oh, they didn't get it. They forgot about it.
Yeah.
They come back at you. It happens a lot, I feel like, in the wrestling industry. And they come back at you like 2 months later, like, hey, I saw your message. Like, oh, what's up? I'm like, oh.
But at the same time, it didn't stop me from pursuing. It didn't hold me up. It was something like, oh, if he gets to it, he gets to it. It didn't like demotivate me. Sometimes people like kind of like just shut down and they stop their grind and their hustle when they don't get those results instantly, you know, or those people that get back to them. No, that doesn't stop anything. You got to keep going and then they'll get to you. Like fate.
That's great advice. Is like, you got to roll with the punches. Sometimes, you know, like you just got to keep going. A lot of people do get demotivated or their morale goes down when things don't really go their way. Or if they fail, they really take it like a hard hit where it's like, nah, like it's part of the process, you know? I had been doing podcasts for like 3-4 years and only till like last year did it really feel like I'm comfortable doing it now, you know? So it's like, you got to keep trying things and whatnot. One of the big things that happened was the whole storyline you had in MLW before you left. I know that was all a story, right? Like,
oh, me screaming at everybody?
Yeah, I'm like the way that it played out and you leaving was like perfect timing. Like, did you guys plan that? Like,
so the whole time, honestly, Court Bauer probably is going to kayfabe me on this. Yeah, but he knew I was like WWE had interest with me at the time. Yeah, so he was setting me up on the way out over to them the entire time.
Okay,
so he's like, you know what, just to make it like feel like more real, like why there's a sudden stop to your storyline, you should like just rage out and then like quit, just so like people buy into like, oh, he just left the promotion, and it helped. It was like a nice little storyline, like little like stamp, you know, just instead of just being like, why aren't they booking Swerve anymore? No, it's just like Swerve walked out of the promotion. It's over. Yeah. I got texts and calls from MVP at the time. Wow. Yeah, he's like, yo, I knew that dude was a scumbag. Oh my god! I'm like, no, we're working, bro. It's cool. Trust me, we're good, man. He's like, oh, okay. Well, he's still a scumbag.
Because I remember when that was happening, I'm like, okay, this looks like it's a really good angle, but then you actually did leave, and I'm like, oh, that's like either that was really smart timing or was that a little bit real? I don't know. I like to try to like test my like abilities to sell something like that.
And I honestly miss doing stuff like that, selling something that's just like, man, people like for a second, even if it's obviously it's obviously like story, people for a second, just a half second, be like, wait a minute, is that's all I need.
That's like, obviously we both grew up wrestling fans. Like that's the best part of it, is when there's a minute where you're like, wait a minute, was that like everything else I get? Like I get it now. I'm older now. I get it. But was that real? Like, was that legit? Because was he supposed to do that? Was he supposed to do that? Like that's the best part.
That's the magic of it. And it's just enough to suck you in for that one moment, you know, and it had nothing to do with like how great the match was. Me and Loki had a good match.
Yeah.
But people, once again, you remember that moment, you know, in front of all those people. Like that's where the storytelling aspect like really hit home for me.
No, for sure. And it was good because I always say on my show too that I'm a big storyline character guy. I'm like, the matches always mean more if I'm invested in the story and the characters. So that story had me invested, and I was like, I remember that, and I just wanted to ask about that. Another really quick question before I get into obviously you know, the interest of WWE and stuff is, where did the name Swerve come from?
Big Sean, the music video, Mercy with everybody, with the whole Good Music group. So that came out, and he just said Swerve. I was like, the way he's saying that shit is so slick and so smooth. I'm like, damn. And I liked I'm a Marvel guy, so I like how, like, you know, the Peter Parker, you know, the Victor Von Doom, and like these names that is like like they kind of volley off the same letter. The first, so I like Shane Swerve Strickland. So
Yeah,
I just
it sounds like a superhero name that you say, like Shane Strickland. And it's like, is that Swerve? Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like, and it also like it felt like a larger than life feel to me as well, like a boxer, like Sugar Shane, Sugar Shane Mosley or Sugar Ray Leonard and stuff like that. Like, so I just wanted to, so it made me feel like a fighter, not like just like, oh, he's a pro wrestler. No, he's a fighter. You know?
Yeah. No, I feel that. No, I like it, and it says a lot about your personality, though. And now you're sticking with just Swerve, right? Like you're just trying to go with
Swerve the realest, man. Like
Swerve the real.
Like, once again, it's time to level up. The 3 is like my third. The 3 in it is my third iteration of who I am. You know, first you had the new flavor, Shane Strickland. You know, and then you had international Swerve, Shane Strickland. Then you had so, and I kept Swerve when I was in WWE as I was Swerve Scott. So now coming back out, this is the third version of me. Now I'm in my 30s. I'm more mature. I'm an adult. Yeah. You know, I want to carry myself as like something more than just a guy in the ring. Like I'm an entity. I'm a performer. I want to be like larger than life. So Swerve the Real is like, the Charlemagne the Gods, Tyler the Creators. Like it just feels.
I'm jumping way ahead, but I have a couple of questions based off that because I love how much detail you think about your character and everything like that. First things first, you brought up really quickly. How were you able to keep the name Swerve in WWE? They were just cool with it. They liked it, or
Triple H loved it. They're like, it's such a thing. Like it's so unique and different to me. Like it's like if you notice throughout the entire WWE, I was the only one that had like that kind of moniker. Like Isiah Swerve Scott. Like I was the only one from Raw, SmackDown to NXT. I was the only one that had that. So it was an identity thing. And like that's one thing Triple H loved. He loves people with an identity. You can get a feel for me. And now like ever since then, now you got like the Seth freaking Rollinses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm gonna take claim on that one. So
So how was that whole process? Like, when did you find out you were being signed to WWE? Like, how did you feel at first? Like, what did it mean to you?
So the process going in, it was like my Lucha Underground contract just ended. My last, the contract took shape just ended after my last episode aired, and my final episode aired in December. So my contract was null and void at the time. Boom. So that was in December. January, I left MLW, and then MLW wrote a note in the email saying that, all right, Swerve, Shane Strickland is like released from his MLW contract and all like that. So they let me go and sent that to Canyon Seaman. Canyon was like, oh, okay, like we're going to try to fit you into a February tryout or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, cool. So I went on vacation at the time with my ex-fiance. We went to Hawaii with her family. And while over there, I got an email saying, Triple H said, why wait? Let's sign you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. So I got a contract sent to me that while in Hawaii, and I had to do all the whole process over there. Then came home to Orlando, got my physical, and I was reporting by April.
That's crazy. So when did you feel like you really found yourself in NXT? Because I feel like at first it was a lot of getting used to the new, just a new area, new environment, and then I'm like, there was a point where I'm like, oh, now I feel like this is the Shane Strickland or Swerve I remember seeing at Defy or watching MLW.
Yeah.
At first, it felt like you were just kind of dipping your toe in the water, feeling it out.
Well, that's what they wanted from me. Yeah. It was like at that time I came in, it was just like the Adam Coles and the Undisputed Eras, the Matt Riddles were around, Finn came back.
It was a stacked roster. It was a stacked NXT roster.
Heath Lee started and Dijak started having those big crazy matches. So, and then there was like an influx of talent with like me, Cameron Grimes, Kushida, Garza, ACH at the time, and Bronson Reed. So all of us came in at the same time. So we're all kind of heavy hitters. We all kind of had to like just dip our toe in at for a while. We had to just wade in the water for a little bit until like guys had to move. Like you still, there was like a lot of people that, it was a great process. And then Pete Dunne came back over. Then you had Walter coming in. So we had to kind of just keep busy for a little bit, not be just not used on TV. So it was just a timing thing. And so that's why they put me on 205. So I'm like, okay, at least I'm working big crowds at the time with like going on the road with SmackDown Me and Leo were doing stuff together. You know, there was a lot of pieces. So at the time, it was just like I needed to be in that position because these guys had to get their moments too. Yeah. And then when they finally moved up and those guys moved up or some got let go, it opened a nice little window for me to like slide into and become something. And it couldn't happen at a better time. So when I took the initiative, I talked to Triple H afterwards. I used to like run him down after shows like 3 or 4 times. I would like, he would try to like hurry up and get to his like private truck and drive to the private jet. And I would like cut him off. Like, you know, I'd seal him off in the corner, like, no, we're having this conversation. We're talking. And he gave me a little bit more every time. I had like 4 big talks with him. Each time he gave me a little bit more. Next time he gave me a little bit more. And then he gave me a little bit more. And then the final one was like, okay, I can't keep losing to Santos Escobar as a babyface. I need to do something. I've got to switch up this shit. And then like, so I had an injury. I had like a hamstring injury. So I was out for like 4 weeks. And so that time is when I colored my hair, got the grill, changed up my gear, my look, came back, and everybody was like, huh, this is interesting. And then you had William Regal, who was just like, I always wanted to get a grill. Oh my goodness. It's a genius idea. It just wanted to mean mug people with that gnarly smile and stuff. Genius move. So William Regal, like when he signed off on it, I was like, okay, I'm made. And then they put me with Leon Ruff. And that gave me the chance to like really be violent and vulgar, bully people, be mean, you know, like really like I credit Leon Ruff a lot with these kind of things because he sold his ass off for me. He threw his body around and I gave it back to him truly. Like, you know, it made him, I feel like it made him better and it made me like a actual threat on the show. You know, that's where everything like took a turn, and then we introduced Hit Row after that. So
how did Hit Row come about? Like you, Adonis, AJ, are Top Dollar, and Brianna, like how did that all come? Because that was like for me, I'm like, oh, now they're really getting behind Swerve. Like now this they gave him like yes, you came back with the new look, and I remember being like, okay, now he's feeling himself, he's doing his thing, and then boom, they put you with this group. And like for those that don't know, you actually do have a background in music. You produce music. You have music coming out later this year, which we'll talk about in a bit. But like that is part of who you are. Just like we found out right now that Swerve is a part of your love for Marvel and fighting. Like we're learning a lot about you right now. But when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is cool. Like this is something. Like who came up with the idea? What was the concept behind it? Like.
So after one of the Bronson Reed matches I had, Bronson, it was after me and Bronson. Yeah. Triple H pulled me aside because like AJ, Tahuti, and Brianna were already doing a group. Man, it was like
I want to call him Tahuti too. I just remember him as Tahuti Miles. I'm like Adonis.
Tahuti. So they had a group already. They were the Hitmakers, and they were like doing performance center shows. So they weren't on TV yet.
Oh, so it was already something they were starting. Okay.
Yeah, they were already doing that. Okay. So it was untelevised. They were the Hitmakers, and they said like they needed an extra oomph to the group, you know. And Triple H knew that I was doing the music thing. He's like, I want you to like really come with these guys and like definitely like build something with them. We didn't have a name for it. So he was like, I want you to guide them, help them out. You've been doing this for a while, like guide them. But I won't. And I was like, I literally told him this. I was like, but I don't want to babysit. Like, you know what I mean? I don't want to be that guy. You know, he was like, oh, no, it's nothing like that. Like all these guys are going to be like, they're not going to be your lackeys. They're going to be a group. Yeah. You know, they're going to be a real actual group with you. And they're going to like, it's going to be like evolution type of thing. Like each person plays a role. And they're one sets up the next, and the other sets up the other person. And instead of like having like the edge heads who are just like guys just bumping around, and they're never really seemed like each individual seemed like an actual threat. So I was like, okay, cool. So we got together. We like everybody does music. Tahuti didn't do music, but we had like, okay, he's going to be the A&R producer type dude. So he's going to get behind the DJ booth. He's going to have like some ad libs here and there. And he's going to set everything off, you know. So we found ways to like make everybody's importance matter, you know, like when we're all in trouble, Brianna comes in with something dangerous, you know, like that evens up the playing field. Like Dalla is like the big shit talker. He's the loudmouth, which you can't shut him up at all. So I'm like, all right, see that on camera, cool. So, and just his size, there's not very many people like him that big that can talk like the way he does and move the way he does. He moves excellent, you know. And then Tahuti was just the fashion guy. He's the pretty boy. He's the one with the military experience. Like we both have military, but he's the one that saw a lot of action and stuff. Like so, he has like hot. Yeah, he's the hothead. He has the story. He has the deep story to tell. You know, so he's like you see the pretty boy swag, but he has like a lot of like war stories. Built up in it. And that was a story we never got to really tap into yet. Yeah. So there's a lot of elements to each person, you know, Brianna touring with Juicy J and like having Baby Bash and stuff back and them, like being on tour with all these people, her having a karate background and everything too.
There's so much we never got to see. Like you're saying all the time, like there's so many layers that we never got to see. Like I knew obviously I knew a bit about you and I knew a bit about AJ because I've known him for a long time as well. But I didn't really know much about Tahuti and Brianna until before that. So that's really cool. The theme song was a banger. The vignettes are great. You end up winning the North American Championship in that time, which obviously was like a big deal. Like I was like, this is it. Like he's the North American champion. He beat Bronson Reed. Things are moving up, and then eventually they want to move you guys to SmackDown.
Yes,
so come to SmackDown. What happened? Like you guys were there for like 3 weeks. So what was the big? Like what happened?
As far as like what happened with Brianna. We were on a flight. Yeah. And her flight got like canceled. You know, so we were like, okay. So Top Dollar ended up like calling and saying like, hey, is everything okay? Yada yada, checking in with them. And they're like, oh no, they were asked, she's not needed at the time. We're like, okay. So we got on the flight, we seeing our Wi-Fi on the plane, we're seeing on the internet just blowing up, like all these releases were happening. They saw Brianna's name. We're like, whoa, what? So they didn't even tell us that. They just happened. And then so I guess like us inquiring about what was going on was like an issue for them in the office. So we were like, oh, wow. So that was one of the things. Just I feel like they got frustrated with the group because they you had like the New Day, you had Hurt Business and all like that. So like, it was just they didn't know what to do with us, and they just end up just letting us go, you know. So
because you guys came up with such promise, killing our NXT, caught your stride. You guys came up and it was great, and then obviously when Brianna got like, we lost the hit at the beginning of the song, and I was like, and then like next thing you know, you guys let go, and it was kind of honestly, I was like, it sucks. I was looking forward to see what you guys would do on there. Like that.
Truth be told, like after Brianna got let go, it kind of. For me, I kind of lost the interest anyway.
Okay.
I'm a person that's 100% go or not. And so they're not 100% behind me. It's like, okay, I can't be 100% behind this project. Yeah. So it's cool. Like y'all going to do it. WWE is going to WWE. They're going to do what they do. They have what they want and they're happy with what they got. I'm not necessarily happy with what I'm noticing with the product change, but they're happy with it. It's their money. It's their product. It's their investors.
100%.
So give them what they want to give them. If I don't fit in that, cool. I'll go do some other shit anyway. Because like honestly, the schedule moved too slow for me. I'm on a busy schedule. I'm like flying here to here. I'm not going to be home for like 12 days. I'm in the studio working on music with one of Kanye's producers.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So like I said, y'all move too slow. I need to move. So you know, and like. It's good to be on my own with this kind of stuff too.
100%. Do you think we'll see at any point? Obviously, you're back in the independents and everyone's doing their thing, but do you think we'll see like a Hit Row reunion somewhere down?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Promoted, but like I mean, like absolutely. Okay, sweet. So you guys are all still cool. Like this is something that's the band back.
Yeah, like, I talk to AJ every damn day. I talk to AJ. I talk to him literally every day. Yeah, I was just with them watching the Super Bowl here in LA. So it's been awesome. Yeah, like so Rams won. Actually later that night, Nita Strauss and her boyfriend. Yeah. She plays guitar for the Rams at the stadium. So they got to invite me to the banquet when the Rams were celebrating. So I got to meet Aaron Donald that night.
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
So yeah, I was literally wearing his jersey as I'm meeting him.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, now you're back on the independents. We're back out here. You're doing the thing, and you're gonna work in progress against a champion over there. You're gonna be all over the place. You're fully booked. I know there's a couple of questions that people always are gonna ask, and one of the main questions is like, has AEW shown interest? Is that something you're interested in? I know you got a lot of friends in that company. Everybody that was killing it on the independents from like 2010 to 2020, all be reconnecting these days. So is that something that you think could be happening?
Of course. Oh yeah, I'm definitely interested. I'm not opposed to going anywhere.
Yeah.
There has to be a discussion made.
Yeah.
So there has to be that. Things have to be done. Like they're like, as we're talking now, we just saw Cody Rhodes leave.
Mm-hmm.
So that's insane.
It is insane.
So yeah, you can expect me to go anywhere. You can expect me to.
But are you enjoying not being with one company now? Like, are you enjoying having the freedom to like go around and work all these companies?
It's fun. Yeah. I really am. I got, like I said, it moves too slow. I'm ready to bounce around. I'm ready to be big. I got a lot of projects that I wasn't allowed to really do and like really put that time and effort in being with WWE because they want that 100% dedication to their product. Yeah. And once you build that equity, then you're free to like move, venture off and to places that they allow.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. So yeah. But yeah.
One of the highlights for me, obviously, like I said, I used to come down watching Defy all the time. I love the feud between you and Darby. So seeing you show up at the end of the show this past weekend, I should have been there. Hopefully these borders open up a lot now, but that was cool, man. And like everything you said about wanting like the Shane Strickland to feel like someone important, like it felt important when you walked back in.
Yes.
So it's Swerve's house. He's back. And you came in there with the swag, the attitude. You did your thing. Darby was there. Nick Wayne was there. Someone you'll be facing.
Man.
How was
that? Dude, my lips were quivering. Like I wanted, like as I went out there, man, it was insane. I didn't know how the reception was going to be, especially this like Darby just came out there.
Yeah, you have to follow Darby. Like it's like
and following Darby, who also hasn't been there in years.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh snap! Like, okay, will they still receive me the same way? And it literally walking out there felt like it just felt like Batman finally returned to Gotham.
That's what it felt like. Swerve's home. Like he just came home. Like he might be doing bigger things after this, but he made sure to return home before he does anything else. I
wanted to make sure it felt like you all seeing an adult version of me. This is like, okay, this is the same guy left. You know what I mean? This is like somebody. This is something different. This is something new.
Yeah.
I'm hopping in the car right now.
Yeah.
So, give a little cameo to my man Raven.
What's going on?
Welcome to the show. This is the most unique show we've had yet.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't stop moving, man. So y'all gonna have to follow me on my journey.
This is live action if you never stop moving.
Yeah. I did another interview with Wrestling Inc. and I was in the back of an Uber. So they were like,
wow.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So y'all gonna have to ride with me because I got moves to make and places to be.
Let me ask you this question. This actually comes from my homie Jamari. He was really curious because he saw the clip on my page. Obviously, I've been to Defy shows before, so I knew. But he was always curious about what were the origins of using that Chaka Khan song, and how do you feel when you got like everybody singing along? People that probably don't even know who Chaka Khan is are singing.
Yeah, yeah. People are like tweeting saying like, "Oh yeah, I love that Patti LaBelle song." I was like, "Ooh, no." So it was like no. So some people are still like learning the song.
Yeah,
it's such a build up of a song. It feels large. It feels big. It feels larger than life. It feels big. It gives you goosebumps. It gives you a feel. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to look like how I wanted to look. The people are going to feel that. And that's why I just rocked with that. I was at my mom's birthday party and everybody was just like mingling around, just chilling. It was like cool. All right. So like, my uncle plugs in the aux cable.
Yeah.
And everybody gets up and starts dancing.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's my song. That's my entrance song.
No, and it's great, and like it's crazy. Like I felt it too. We're watching the clip, and I'm like, I feel like a lot of people probably don't even know who sings the song, but they're singing along, and that's like because you presented it.
Signal. Good.
Swerve's house. What was the concept behind it? What was the thought process? It's a big event happening in April. You're wrestling Ruby Soho. It's your own event. How did that come up?
Sammy Callahan, man. He saw I got let go. He's like, I helped build a Revolver. I was one of the first big matches at the show, and he was like, dude, you helped build this company to where it's at now, so you definitely got to come back. And I was like, oh, of course. And he just wanted to commemorate the show to me and my name. And then he also wanted to do like a first time ever match that I've never had with anybody, and it was like a match that you can't see anywhere else. So it's like two different worlds coming together. It's like, oh, like what about Ruby Soho? She just had a crazy match with like Josh Alexander. I'm like, absolutely, let's do me as Ruby Soho. So I'm ready to kill that with her. And like that's one of the biggest matches I'm looking forward to coming up.
That's sweet. No, we're all looking forward to that too, guys. If you are interested in Swerve's hosting the event, make sure to check his social media and all the promotion.
Wrestling Revolver on Fight TV.
Wrestling Revolver on Fight TV, guys. Also, I noticed that you have an album coming out this year as well called Tears. Where can people find that, and what's that all about?
March 18th, Tears, Swerve City. Me and my man Montezi, partners. This is our third album. We got some great features on there. Amazing sound. We just always elevate our sound every time. We got Music Soul Child going to be featured on the album.
Oh wow!
So that's going to be huge. He just did a versus with Anthony Hamilton just recently here in LA. So that's dope. We're going to be. I had Big Sis birthday released and one of the music videos talking about like my experience, like being let go from WWE. I had to get that off my chest. That's like one of the few times I really talk about it. So openly like that. Now, so I'll put it in a constructive way. Y'all can read the subliminals how y'all want to with that. So, but it's out. It's actually out now on YouTube. So you can subscribe, check it out on our YouTube page, youtube.com/SwerveCity Podcast. Watch the video. It's also out on all streaming platforms. So March 18th, Tears album from Swerve City, going to be on all streaming platforms, Spotify, Tidal, iTunes, all the good stuff. You got to check that out. And I got merchandise on my website, swerveconfident.com, Tears hoodie. So go get that.
Yeah, and there's a ton of new merchandise you just dropped too, so everyone should check that out. I'll obviously share that.
Yeah, right here. Boom. This is one of them.
Last, but definitely not least, the SwerveCity Podcast has been rocking for a while now. Where can people find that, and what are some episodes you'd recommend for people if they've never listened to it?
YouTube.com/SwerveCity Podcast. Subscribe. We're already at 11,000 subscribers. Man, some of the best interviews that we've done. We have Charlotte Flair with My Verse on there. We got Kofi Kingston. We got UFC Hall of Famer Sugar Rashad Evans on there. R&B legend Donnell Jones, Music Soul Child. Adam Cole, Street Profits in the early stages of the Street Profits with Bianca Belair coming through there. Leo Rush, Morrison, and Taya Valkyrie.
There's a ton of great episodes.
It's incredible. Eddie Kingston was one of our big ones that we recently dropped. We got a one with Bailey. It was awesome. Man, so we got two of the four horsewomen on the YouTube page.
Two of the four horsewomen,
so but we were trying to lock down the other two. But
was it just something you just wanted to do? Like you were just like, the podcast stuff was heating up, and you're like,
Well, we did we streamed some episodes. We not streamed, but we filmed some episodes for High Spots back in the day. It was called Swerve Talk, and Sammy Callahan directed it. Those were on High Spots. We sold 3 DVDs, I believe.
Yeah.
So we did those, and then we just wanted to do it more on a weekly episode base. So me and TZ got some of our close friends to build a team. We got Siren, the record videographer. He's also recorded a lot of the music videos you'll see on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
We got Big Mike. We call him Mike the Goat. Bailey named him Mike the Goat. We have Mike Simmons. He does the editing and social media. Alex Henry, he does the video. He does the video stuff for the social media. So we have a team. We call it the Dream Team. This is the starting 5.
Yeah.
And we do everything together. We do the music videos. We do the podcasting, and we just built a nice loyal squad, and we just keep our circle tight, and we just do all the work together. And we're changing. I feel like we changed the game. We're the first actual independent podcast to be brought to the WWE Network and to the Peacock. So that's still on Peacock. And on Peacock, we got interviews with Ember Moon, Gargano, all the Undisputed Era, Pat McAfee, William Regal, Smoke Dizza, Flatbush Zombies.
Yeah.
Mark. Yeah. We it's dang. People were like, oh, how did you get these people? We're like, I just ask them, you know, and they come on.
That
they
is
wanna
the truth. You just gotta ask, and sometimes I feel like for me, like sometimes like
Yeah.
it's weird, but you just gotta ask, and like even
Yeah.
with you, I asked you, and you're like, oh, not right now. And I was like, oh, I'll ask again. I mean, like it sounds kind of overbearing, but I'll give it a shot. And you're like, oh, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, man. It's just like, and it was like during the COVID era, so like people wanted to do stuff. People wanted to talk. You know,
That's how
like
this
people
all started.
Yeah, you know, yeah, just people wanted to like express something, like do some type of project, just get out of their hotel, get out of being like quarantine and stuff. So we were doing a lot of that during then, and like freaking Drew McIntyre as WWE champion, like fresh off of like winning that Mania, beating Brock, just came on. He's like, yeah, man, I haven't talked to you guys in like years, so let's come on.
Yeah.
I was like, awesome. Even the WWE Network guys were like, how did you get these guys? They were like, they're friends of mine. I just asked them, you know. So it was, like, so check that out, man. Swervecity Podcast on Peacock now and on our YouTube page, exclusive
Everybody
episodes.
go check out Swervecity Podcast. I know you're on the road, so we'll wrap it up here. Thank you so much. I appreciate you sticking around to wrap things up.
Absolutely.
I'll make sure everything's clean and clear and as good as possible. And yeah, thank you. Is there anything else you want to add before you go?
Subscribe. YouTube.com/SwerveCity Podcast. Album tiers come in March 18th. Check it out. Me and Montezi made some excellent work. And shout out Montezi. He did a lot of producing and rapping on the AEW album that's dropping on the 18th, February 18th.
Yeah.
So check that out. He's an amazing talent, gifted artist, great mind. And he's doing their March 5th event, I believe. Their live
music event, right? The live event.
He's doing that with Isiah Williams and Mikey Ruckus. So check that out. Support them guys, man. They're doing a lot of great work, and close affiliates with them. We're taking over from all angles. It's nuts over here. And check out my new merchandise on my new website, swervecompany.com. Get shirts like this right here. That's for sale on there. Some other stuff. You'll check it out. It's going to be awesome, and it's growing. I'm going to add some more stuff and more content to that. But yeah, support the system, man. I'm doing big things. Just check it out.
Doing big things. I'll link everything below, guys, and I'll share it in the info section of YouTube and on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and everywhere else you listen to this. Thank you once again. Keep doing the thing, and hopefully we can catch up down the road when some more things happen.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate your time. Keep doing the thing.
No problem. Ooh. Thank you, man.
Thank you. Ooh, yeah. Dig it.
To say good night. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.